to Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad. Forget you.
You are undoubtedly.
Here's Johnny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Horror Hour, the show where we debate, discuss, and disagree on all things horror. My name is Ben, and here are my fellow hosts, George.
Good evening or good morning.
And Yutaka.
Hello.
So because of my fucked up schedule, I could not get this Candyman. So today, instead, we're going to discuss something that shouldn't be controversial at all, going to fly by really, really easily. Our top 5 favorite final girls. A very big thing to knock off the list. How are we all feeling about doing something that big today?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what everyone's top 5 are, to see where all our heads at when it comes to what we acknowledge as a final girl. So I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think some of us will have some clashes and some of us will have some matches. We'll have to see.
Before we get into honorable mentions, I want to know what Yutaka's feeling. Are you nervous?
No, I tried to choose people that you all wouldn't select so we wouldn't have an overlap, because there's still ones I enjoy, but I actually kind of chose mine in terms of skill versus, movies and all that. Like multiple movies, you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I feel like I have a real fun eclectic bunch that I'm actually happy with.
Yeah. I also have a lot of honorable mentions, some of which I didn't include because they're really great characters and some of the best of all time, but it's kind of up for debate whether or not they're final girls, which is why they're in my honorable mentions. And then I have a really tight list of MVPs and then my top 5, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it. So, with that out of the way, will we just dive straight into honorable mentions?
Sure. And let's go with you, because you've got about 60 of them, so...
Yeah.
For my sort of general ones, we'll start off with Zoe from Escape Room. Very solid character. Really enjoyed that movie. She was one of the main reasons for it. Kira from The Invitation. I kind of only had her down as, she survived to the end, and The Invitation is just such a good movie. It should be talked about all the time.
It is a really good movie.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's a random choice, though, but okay.
More horror comedy, but Brenda from Scary Movie, I think we all love. She's just the best.
That's true.
Lex,
and she comes back.
Lex from Alien versus Predator. Not a great movie, but she's very good in it. Reese from Urban Legend. I was glad to see her show up in the sequel because they're both terrible movies. Max from The Final Girls, a very good movie, which I really, really enjoy, and I hope all of you watch. Tessa for me is very good in it. Dr. Elizabeth Shue from Prometheus, Noomi Rapace. I think we all really love her, and the way that they got rid of her in the sequel was just ridiculous.
Don't.
Lisbeth, this one, the next few might not necessarily be horror films, but Lisbeth Salander from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, I kind of see them as horror films. Like, they're pretty terrifying, dark, and grotesque, but they're not necessarily horror films, but I still wanted to mention her anyway. Ava from Ex Machina. I see Ex Machina as a horror film, hands down, as well as Annihilation, Lena. Then we have Maddie from Hush, which is played by Kate Siegel, who does an incredible job playing that character. Lorraine Warren from The Conjuring, and Evelyn and Regan from the A Quiet Place franchises. Those are all sort of the general ones, and I can get into my MVPs of the honorable mentions later on after George, you say a few.
Oh, okay, I shall. Okay, so my honourable mentions. Actually, let me just finish writing that name. So I've got a couple of mine from TV while we're on honourable mentions, because I didn't think that, I put them in honourable mentions because I was like, well, we're kind of more doing movies, but I did want to kind of give them a mention because the whole thing about them is they are final girls, and that is Brooke Thompson and Donna Chambers from American Horror Story 1984, because they both, the whole thing is like about final girls, and at the end I love that exchange where they're like, I guess we're both a final girl, obviously played by Emma Roberts and Miss Angelica Ross. Fabulous, love them both, so they had to go in there. I put Wendy, aka Shelley Duvall from The Shining, because she was, she was a scream queen, all right. I mean, she gave that performance, so I had to drop her in there. A new one, spoiler alert, well, that's not. Brianna Cartwright from Candyman is a great character. Jamie Lloyd from, I was going to say Scream, sorry, Halloween, aka Daniela Harris. I really enjoyed her films. I recently rewatched them all, and I was like, I just really like that character, and I really wish they kind of done a bit more with that. But yeah, so Jamie, and also Amanda, aka Shawnee Smith from the Saw films. I really liked her. I liked the way she came back, and I liked the story that she had and the plot and how it weaved out throughout the films. And so I had her down as well. So they were my honourable mentions. I was just checking I didn't have any more.
Yutaka, do you want me to clear out the rest of mine before you get into yours?
I don't have any honorable mentions because I thought we were just choosing our tops. So while you guys you continue to rattle them off, I'll keep giving you looks.
Okay, well, good for you then. You do that while we talk, and you just suffer in silence there. Good man. Right. The MVPs of my honorable mentions. We have about 7 or 8 here, and I think they're all pretty incredible. So, Ashley from Better Watch Out, which is a very underrated Christmas horror film, played by the incredible Olivia de Jong, who was also in The Visit, and was very good in that film as well.
That's Chris Peckover's film. It's a really good film.
Very, very good. Next, I have Allison from Halloween 2018. I thought Andy Matichak did a very good job and was probably one of, I think, when it comes to them introducing new final girls into the movies, I thought that Andy Matichak did one of the best jobs of the franchise. I really liked the Laurie Strode from the Rob Zombie remakes as well as Jamie Lloyd, obviously. But for me, Andy Matichak, I think, was really, really talented. Jess from the original Black Christmas, very good. I have nothing really else to say except she was a very strong character. Sarah Connor from Terminator, nothing left to really say. It's not. It's hard to tell if she kind of qualifies because her sequels are more action and sci-fi, but her original film was very much a horror film, and I think she is very much the heart of the franchise, which is why I enjoy Terminator: Dark Fate so much. I think that's a really good movie because she's really good at it. Mia from the Evil Dead remake, or the sequel, whatever you want to call it. Jane Levy did an incredible job in that movie. I also just rewatched that film the other night. Still incredible. Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street. No, she did not make my top 5, but she very much lives on in the MVPs of the honorable mentions. Ethel Langenkamp did a phenomenal job. And I just think that because it was more of an older film, the final girl trope has evolved to do more things. And so I think Nancy kind of pales in comparison because of that. But she also has 2 incredible sequels, which are Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where she very much comes into her own. So I think she's a very, very good pick. Cecilia from The Invisible Man. Elizabeth Moss did a very, very good job in the role, and she very much sort of embodied the fear that I think the role needed. So I thought she was very much worth mentioning, as well as my favorite, the Queen Betty Gilpin herself, Crystal from The Hunt. She managed to survive to the final end, killed Hilary Swank. Incredible moment, incredible film. I love it so much. Final 3, Erin from You're Next, who was so strong and so practical. It was so nice to see that in a horror film, someone who really, truly knew how to handle their life in that situation. The amazing Virginia Madsen. She did not make my list, but she was so very close. And Florence, Pew Pew Pew, Danny from Midsommar. All of these are very, very, very good, but I really, really like my top 5.
Okay, I agree with most of them as MVPs rather than top 5. So yeah, I can get behind that. Yutaka, what about you? What are your thoughts on those? You haven't said anything. You just looked.
Yeah,
like
I know.
For the entire thing.
This is. Yeah, no, I thought we were gonna go in depth with our final goals, but yeah,
but we will do the top 5.
Oh, I know. We're good. This.
Make no mistake, we will be going very in depth.
I believe it.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we'll take a quick break. And when we get back, Yutaka is going to tell us his number 5.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Hour TV.
And welcome back, where now Yutaka is going to tell us his number 5 final girl. So Yutaka, why don't you dive straight into your list, and we'll go to George, and then we'll go to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. So for number 5, you had her in your honorable mentions, but again, like I said, I was looking at mine in more of skill, and so I actually had Lorraine Warren, just because of her abilities. Really like her. I think she's strong. I think she's actually, sometimes she's stronger than Ed's character, but with her psychic abilities and to be able to, have that, would you call it like an empathic abilities to kind of have that sense. Yeah, I think she very well could be one. And I think she's been great in the films. So yeah. She's let's put it this way. The last one was a little rough, but she's
wrong.
It's the one time I'll agree with you, Taka.
Yeah. See, but she's come up against some formidable foes. So yeah, that would be my 5th slot.
I fully agree with that. Vera Farmiga always gives a phenomenal performance in these movies. I think particularly in the second Conjuring movie, I thought she was very, very good. But she's great in all of them, and her screams are something that will live throughout the halls of horror forever, because she truly puts a lot of work into that. She almost destroyed her vocal cords from doing so many screams for the opening of The Conjuring 2. That is such a great fact, and she really puts everything in. So I respect that totally.
Did not know that.
I agree. I love Vera, and we should also shout out, of course, another film where she's technically a final girl / final mother, Orphan. She was fantastic in that. Even though they did steal the line from The Ring 2, I did really like the "I'm not your fucking mummy" kind of kicking her into the water. That was great. And I really like and she did some great than that. But yeah, I agree. I really like, I didn't even think about Vera Farmiga in that sense, but she's fantastic and phenomenal. So I couldn't not disagree with that for sure.
It is very hard to consider horror films as films of final girls. So me and Yutaka are really big brain for kind of thinking of it, and George is just kind of, down there in his little corner, not realizing all horror films.
Yeah, mine's like, so are there any other horror films apart from Scream? So, no. Right, okay. Well,
George.
Yeah,
come on. Your number 5. Please.
My number 5. I went with sort of a newish final girl. Well, I would say it's newish anyway. And that is Grace Ladomas, aka Samara Weaving from Ready or Not. I only watched that film fairly recently, it was maybe the beginning of mid 2020 maybe, and I only watched it because I wanted to see what the guys who were doing Scream were gonna do. So I was like, I need to see this. But I really, really enjoyed the film, and if you're interested, you can go and check out the reaction on youtube.com/George Alexander. But I really enjoyed that film, and I really liked Samara. Even I'd never seen her in anything before. I'd heard a lot about her, and in particularly, obviously, about this film. And she really surprised me. And I thought she did a great balance of being terrified as fuck to being looking really mental by the end of it, and also having those comedy moments and things throughout. So for me, I think as far as the new sort of final girls go, I think she was and I think that's what gave me relief in the Radio Silence were going to be doing Scream, because I was kind of like, okay, they understand the film in general. So I know this isn't about the film, but just talking about in general, they really understood the assignment. And so and Samara Weaving really understood the assignment with that character as well. And you got the right amount of balance from scared damsel in distress to when she rips that dress up and you're like, right, yes, it's action time. So yeah, for me, my number 5, Samara Weaving in Ready or Not. And I would love it'd be difficult to do a sequel, I suppose, unless she marries into another crazy family. But I would like to maybe see her in something see the Samara in a similar role, because I think she did it really well.
No, I completely agree with that choice. It is very, very good. And Samara Weaving, also notable for her work in The Babysitter. Those two films, I think I love both of those movies, particularly the sequel. I actually really like that movie. And I thought she was great in both of them. Even for the limited amount of time she's in the sequel, she's very good. So
Yeah.
I agree. Yutaka?
No, I love that film. I think Ready or Not is a great. I mean, it's fantastic. It's so much fun. I love the entire cast. It's like a deadly version of Clue. It's so much fun. I don't disagree with that.
Thank you.
Well, I really hope we don't disagree with my number 5, which is the incredible, just purely phenomenal Selena from 28 Days Later, played by the wonderful Naomi Harris, who we all, I think, can recognize did a phenomenal job with this character, who is strong, charismatic, but also very layered. And I think sort of went on to be, I think, the blueprint for how heroines are depicted in zombie films and TV shows going forward. I see a lot of her in different characters in The Walking Dead. I see a lot of her in Michonne. I see some of her in Andrea. I see some of her in almost all of them that I've seen so far. And that's because I think she just was something new, but also just like not anything like big, or it wasn't like a big swing. It was just a very strong person who very much embodied respect, fear, but was also willing to do what the world had become, what it needed her to do. And I just really sort of love that about her character. A lot of it goes unsaid, and that's probably my favorite part about her. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, I love Selena. I was when I first watched her, I was just obsessed, and I was like, oh my God, she's just amazing. And I think she's the right amount of, I like how throughout the film, we really get to see her open up towards the end. Because at first you think, oh God, she's just like, you could see her as being like annoying or rude and stuff like that. But when it starts to unfold, she really, and I think that's a case as well of her open up, but also her relationship with Jim and how that, opens her up as well. That sounds wrong, but opens her up to, I think that was a brilliant cast, and because it was a small cast. I think did really well, but yeah, I love seeing it. And yeah, at the end, just goes to show that at the beginning, she's like, I'd kill you in a heartbeat. And it gets to that point and she doesn't. And you're just like, oh, I just love this. It's like Switch. It's just great. So yeah, I agree. Naomi House killed that role. I wish that she'd been in the sequels. But I did really enjoy it. If anyone's interested in seeing how Selena's character developed, I would actually really recommend the 28 Days Later comics, because she's in that, and there's some good short stories as well. And her character goes on, and there's quite a bit of good story to. So yeah.
Very interesting, George. Thank you very much for that. Yutaka.
I don't disagree. I don't remember the movie that much, though. It's been a while since I've watched it. Oh, don't give me that look.
Look, I haven't actually seen it in a while either. It's probably been about 3 or 4 years, but the memory of her character has never faded from my mind. And I think the fact that she's still... Oh, I thought of one more. Mila Jovovich from the Resident Evil films. Very, very great performance. I think she's great in all of them. Even if some of the movies aren't that good, I think she's great in every single one of them. So that's another one. But I love 28 Days Later. It's been a very long time since I've seen it, and I can't wait to rewatch it because it was legitimately terrifying, unlike its sequel, which is all we'll say for now. Yutaka, give us your number 4.
Well, you already just said it, so that kind of ruined it since you kept talking. So I'll go with Alice from Resident Evil, Mila Jovovich.
Sorry.
No, it's cool. I think her character going, obviously in the very beginning, in the very first film, still kind of shy, unsure of what's going on. She becomes very strong in terms of just, oh gosh, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Or she becomes very confident in her abilities. She's able to kick ass. And then even before she even got the superhuman abilities and all that, she's a hell of a shot with a gun, and she learned quick. But I also just really enjoyed her character. I certainly think in the later films, it just became a mess. But in the beginning, I think she was fantastic and fun. And I enjoyed the stunt work, everything about that, But that would be my number 4. because I also love the Resident Evil series. Well, the video games, not so much the movies, but I thought as an original character that they introduced, I thought they did a really good job with that. So I really enjoyed her.
Yeah.
As someone who hasn't played the games, I can't attest to that, but I can attest to the fact that I love pretty much all of the Resident Evil films except for the second one and the third one, and I like pretty much the rest of them.
Wait,
Like, I thought they were all really enjoyable.
Those are like two of the most popular ones.
You like the last two over 2 and 3.
Oh my god, I love the last two. I really, really like.
Well, now I know you haven't played the games.
George, let's just no. We'll move on because that was terrible. Ben, oh my god.
The third film is so bad. The one in the desert, that film is unwatchable.
That film is what Zack Snyder based Army of the Dead off.
I mean, if he did, then he did a much better job with it than whoever the hell directed that movie did.
Well, I think Paul Wes Anderson.
Does he do all
Paul
of them?
Wes?
No, Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson, thank you.
No, it's Paul W.S. Anderson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Wes Anderson's the other one, isn't he?
He directed almost all of them, didn't he?
Yeah, he directed. He wrote most of them or produced them, didn't he? Because obviously Mila's his wife, so that's why she was in that film. I love Mila Jovovich. I love her in, obviously I was introduced to Resident Evil. I hadn't at that time played the games before when I'd watched the first like 2 or 3. So I had no idea about the source material. I only recently I played number 4 first when I was young, and it scared me so much that I actually couldn't play it for a while. And then actually last year I bought every single one of them on PlayStation Store and played them all, the remakes of 2 and 3 and Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, I've never played the original, but that game is amazing and I really, really enjoyed it. But yeah, I can understand people's perspective of not liking the films because they weren't very close to the source material. And I kind of could understand, one of my friends actually literally tweeted me about it before, that, you know, if it hadn't have been Resident Evil, he probably would have enjoyed it more if it had just been a zombie apocalypse film with Mila Jovovich's character, having been a fan of the series. But I agree, I love Mila Jovovich. I think she's fantastic, and she really she was the new Sigourney Weaver of films, I would say. Like in terms of like Ripley, and she kind of was the newer version of that. Like she was the badass, because obviously a lot of these final girls, you know, are badass, but you know, there's badass and there's like, you know,
she had the physicality.
Yeah.
She really, that makes sense.
She really had that like strength and stuff. So I would, sorry, that was a long tangent, but yeah, I agree. And it was, Paul W.S. Anderson directed number 1 and 4 and 6. Number 3 was actually Russell Malaki. I don't know what else he.
That's all right.
Yeah, didn't do.
We still know we enjoyed that. Ben just has no taste on that one because those last films were really, really.
Sorry, yes, I agree. Mila Jovovich.
Yours, George. I don't want you to accidentally say somebody else's. I'm just kidding.
Me. Well,
talk to Ben.
Do you number 4, George?
No, this is going to be my number 4 now.
Grant, go ahead.
Thank you. So my number 4, actually, the actress does star in the Resident Evil films. However, the character is not that character I'm going for. And I am going for, you're smiling and you're nodding, Ben, because you probably know who I'm going to say. But I'm going to be going with Clear Rivers from Final Destination and Final Destination 2. Ali Larter is fantastic. I loved her in the first one. I loved her trajectory from number 1 and number 2. And number 2, spoiler alert, when she dies, I was so pissed off because she was so cool in that one. And her and Tony Todd and that scene is just so good. And she was such a cool character. And like I say, I liked how you got that growth from the first one where she was a scared high school student, you know, up into when she, you know, was now like an adult and she was kind of like cool and like, you got to look for the signs and all that. So I really appreciated her character. I would have really liked for her to have kind of continued on. I know the whole point is that, you know, they have to die in the end, but like a similar Tony Todd style character, you know, that she'd kind of carried on and been, you know, in the background, kind of popping up and helping people every now and again. But I mean, that just goes to show Jeffrey Riddick's fantastic screenplay writer, and he did some great work with her, and Clear Rivers was fantastic. So yeah, my number 4 is Clear Rivers from Final Destination. Any thoughts, guys?
I haven't seen a lot of those movies, but the one that I have seen is the second one. So I really, really liked her in that movie. I thought she was great. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
You've got time to learn then, Ben. No, the first two are really great. Yes, I enjoyed her character. I'm actually okay that she died, because I think, like, let's put it this way, in terms of, like, I like Alice's character, but as it kept going, I was like, oh my God. So I could see that happening with her character as well. So, and I think it just made her death more impactful. So, but I really did. I like the actress a lot, actually. She's been in quite a few films, TV series that I really love, even though that series went to shit, but still loved it.
Yeah, Ali Larter was one of my favorite people when I was growing up, because I'd seen her in that, Resident Evil, and then I really liked her in the movie Obsessed with Beyonce. And
That's what I was thinking.
I really like that film. I know it's like so stupid, but it's a lot of fun. So yeah, she was always like one of my favorite actresses growing up, because I'd known her through all those films. So yeah. What about you, Ben? Number 4?
Well, my number 4 is something that I think you all probably expected to be my number 1, but it's not, because although it's my favorite franchise, Laurie Strode is not my favorite final girl. She lands at my number 4 spot, but particularly for Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O as a trilogy, because her character in that arc, again, I don't really recognize Halloween Resurrection as a film that exists. I kind of see that as a trilogy, and that kind of storyline ends with Michael Myers' head being chopped off, and then there's the reboot with the remix. So with that trilogy in mind, the arc that she goes on, in the first 2 films being a victim, and in the third film truly taking that back into her hands, I felt was peak sort of Laurie Strode final girl, because I felt that Andy Matichak sort of took the reins over in a way in 2018. So she's not so much as a final girl as more of a Sarah Connor in that movie from Terminator Dark Fate. And I also think that's good, but I think in Halloween H2O in particular, once she gets that axe and screams Michael, that solidifies her place on my list, no questions asked. So Halloween H2O, that version of Laurie Strode, ending there with chopping off his head, I think is just a wonderful character arc that solidifies her as one of the best final girls, in my opinion.
Yutaka?
So,
thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked. I thought she'd be higher on his list.
I didn't think she'd be your number 1, actually. I thought she might be number 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can get behind that. I'm going to say something that's really controversial. She's not on my list. I really like Jamie Lee Curtis, and I do enjoy the character of Laurie Strode more. So I liked her in the original. I wasn't particularly like blown away by her in the rest of the movies, but I did enjoy her again in Halloween 2018, and that's when she kind of, for me, I was like, oh, okay, I can get behind this. But other than that, I know a lot of people refer to her as being like one of the, obviously her like her mum was as well, but she's a scream queen. I relate to them as scream queens rather than final girls, some of them, but yeah, I can appreciate, and obviously I would never dispute anyone that being on a list, but yeah, she's not on my list, but I think Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing, and what she's done with that role since then, I think is definitely commendable, and she's brilliant. So yeah, that's me.
All of George's rest are all women from Scream.
No, not all of them.
Yeah.
Well, with
you
that,
only have 3 left.
With that, Yutaka, you want to bring us into your top 3, the true sort of like cream of the crop here?
Yeah. So I will go with because again, I wanted to choose people that, again, I will say, because we ended up watching the trilogy, and I still think we all enjoyed the trilogy, even though we didn't, certain films we weren't as big a fan of. I would actually go with Dina from the Fear Street trilogy. I thought she was a good final girl. I mean, we got to see, well, obviously when the actress also played Sarah Fear, but I mean, she had some really good chase scenes. She had some good interactions. I think she was clever, smart, and I mean, hell, at one point she killed a girlfriend just so she could try and stop the killers. So I actually enjoy that trilogy. So I would actually have to put her up there. I think she was She's smart, she's young, and I don't know.
Good is evil.
Oh, don't fucking bring
Oh,
that.
that line
I
was
know.
terrible, I hated
I
that
actually
line.
did consider putting her on the list. I just thought it was maybe a bit too new. I need to kind of get those movies settled in my mind a little bit more before I kind of decided on that. But no, definitely worth mentioning, I think. And she's a very talented actress. I really loved her on
Yes.
Trinkets. Okay, go ahead, George. Number 3.
Okay, my number 3 is, I would say, slightly left field, because I don't think anyone would maybe pick this. I could be wrong. You could all have picked this and then I'll look like a dick. But I went with Erin from the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre, played by Jessica Biel. I was introduced to Texas Chainsaw Massacre via those films, and I still think I enjoy the original. I think the rest are all very touch and go. But as one of the first like newish remakes of a film, that was fantastic. It really told a great story, and I think it still holds up today. It still makes me feel ill. It's still creepy. It's just everything it needs to be. And Jessica Biel, I think, is fantastic in that role. And she has like this fierceness in her that kind of comes out throughout the whole thing. And like some of the ways, like when she's like screaming or shouting, and her voice is like dead, like hoarse, and like it's croaked. So she just sounds really cool. And so yeah, I really, really enjoyed her character. And I think out of all of the most recent Texas Chainsaws that have been on, which at this moment, if you guys just saw that the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to be on Netflix, I was like, I didn't even know there was going to be another one. These films, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is good, but it's one of those, I think it's like the franchise where I'm like, this is a lot. So yeah.
Well, the original film is a really good standalone as kind of a metaphor for how capitalism was sort of like gutting out the sort of heart and core of like middle America. I saw a really good video essay on it, and how that felt like the family, they worked in a factory, their jobs like were taken away by tech or something like that. It was like a throwaway line at the beginning of the movie, but the film, it really, when this person explained it and sort of went through it, I was like, that actually really makes a lot of sense. And so you can't really follow up that allegory with a sort of sequel that's all really bloody and stuff like that. Even though I'm a fan of Texas Chainsaw 3D as well as that remake, I just think it's a very hard thing to try and follow up. And Fede Alvarez is actually, people give him a lot of credit, but I think he's very touch and go. I loved like most and all of his movies, but I don't think his name attached to it means that it will be a commercial thing, and nor will it be a profitable project, because The Girl in the Spider's Web, look, it wasn't for everyone. People really didn't like it. I loved it because I loved those movies, but it made no money, and it was a complete embarrassment and a shocking failure, particularly for him. And Don't Breathe 2 didn't do so hot at the box office either, so I don't blame them, the legendary, for something at all.
Tell us how you really
Don't
feel.
Breathe 2 shouldn't have happened. That even though there's a good twist in it, but that film shouldn't have happened at all.
I still haven't seen it, and I want to, and I will, but like, you can't expect me to pay for that in the cinema, guys. I mean, come on. Like, if he didn't even come back to direct it, I just knew I could wait.
Anyway, back to Erin from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. Yutaka, any thoughts on that?
Oh, no, I thought we were done talking.
No, we weren't. We just suddenly started going on about all the other Texas Chainsaw Massacres. But I do agree with you, Ben. I think the original, yeah.
The remake was actually, I think that's probably the first remake that I think really kind of set off the whole chain of, what can be a profitable remake if done well. Because I remember when that film opened up, it opened up at number 1. It was a hit. I know it didn't cross like 100 million domestic here, but it was still seen as a box office hit. And yeah,
well, horror films didn't really do that back then.
No, there were still horror films that did, but that was just a few. That was like seen Scream. As more what was it? Like, I don't want to say exploitive, but it
because it was a remake.
It was a legit remake almost. I mean, most of it was, same as the original in a sense, just a few changes. However, though, it was very stylistic. I think they did a good job. The acting wasn't terrible, and Jessica Biel was really good at it. So I really like it. I think it's a great remake. Were the sequels that continued to follow? But I agree. That remake was good, and I'm actually looking forward to this new one. I saw the cast. I'm like, okay, I could get behind that. So, yeah.
Okay. Ben?
I'm just worried. I'm happy. I'm really looking forward to it. I think new takes on these old franchises are necessary. And look, maybe with Netflix having this, they're pretty decent with horror. Maybe we could get a Fear Street style trilogy in the vein of the new Halloween and Exorcist trilogies, but just they make 2 more or whatever, or they do a series. Don't really care. The fact that this isn't going to theaters kind of says it all. Let's move on to my number 3.
You can't say that. No, don't say that, because Netflix is pumping in money into some of these. So I wouldn't say just because it's not going to theaters that it's going to be.
It had a pretty disastrous test screening. Like, when I say disastrous, I mean a lot of people were excited for this movie, and then the reports of that test screening came out, and it was just like everyone just sort of felt like a pang, and everyone really had a bad feeling that this was not going to go well. And I still don't think it's going to go well. I think it's just kind of an indicator of the quality of the movie that was produced, but I still have hope because I really love the pitch of the movie. So I'm excited for that. Any other words on Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No, I think we said them all.
Interesting. Yeah, we got a lot out there. Sorry to any creators of Texas Chainsaw Massacre if you're watching this. Not my fault. Your product shit.
No, but also quick shout out to Sally in the original as well. She was cool.
Highly doubt they're going to listen to this or watch this. You're fine, Ben.
Yeah, no, that's true. Sally in the original film is also a very, very good character. I like her a lot. She did a great performance.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, go on.
But my number 3 is a character who doesn't really fit the typical definition of final girl, which is probably why she's one of the only few of these sort of horror performances that has an Academy Award to her name. Yes, I'm talking about Clarice in The Silence of the Lambs. Because she isn't the typical definition of a final girl, but she kind of meets everything by her being the final girl. She survived to the end of the movie, and what a performance, what a character, going toe-to-toe with the villain of the movie to work together to bring some sort of justice to the world. Meanwhile, she's a very complex character, very deep and layered performance, and just one of the biggest and best feminist icons that cinema has produced ever. And Jodie Foster deserves all the credit in the world for bringing her to the big screen. Silence of the Lambs is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I think that one of the main reasons because of that is because of Jodie Foster's performance. Just look at the other movies without Jodie Foster, they're all terrible. Even though they have Anthony Hopkins, they don't have her, and she's clearly very, very important to this sort of property being a success, if you don't really count Hannibal or that Clarice TV show, which I don't think a lot of people count that Clarice TV show as they should. So yeah, that is my number 3. What do you have to say about Clarice?
Well, one, the show was actually really decent. The only reason it didn't continue was because of, it went to streaming and talks, and that was a loss for the creators because they could have made bank on that. And Hannibal wasn't bad. The only reason Jodie Foster wasn't in it was because she turned it down.
And kind of as she should, because it was not the best.
Well, it could have been.
Yeah.
And Julianne Moore did a great job with what she was given. So
she tried.
Yeah. Okay. We'll disagree on that one. But I think, that's a good, I like the choice. I think the movie stands on its own, obviously. It's an incredible movie, I think, all around. Doesn't matter what genre you're looking at. It was just a well-made movie. And so I think as the character, I think part of Clarice Starling, though, is, was luck. But that's also kind of why I enjoy her character. So, yeah.
George?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Well, you have Sidney Prescott, you're number 1. You're very unoriginal.
But I'm also very correct. So, I like Jodie Foster. I like her in Flight Plan.
That's a bad one. No. Panic Room, come on.
Panic Room, yeah.
Panic Room. The Mauritanian. She deserved an Oscar nomination for The Mauritanian.
And Contact. Contact. Contact's a great film. But
I will not Jodie Foster this kind of behavior.
I have 100% time for that joke. Yeah, no, I can get behind that. I really like Jodie Foster, and I do like the character of Chloe, so I can understand that. Yeah, she wouldn't be my personal top, but yeah, I can understand what. And I know it's your favorite film, so I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yutaka, bring us into the top 2. I'm very, very excited to see where this goes. It better not be Catherine Hahn from Freaky. Oh, not Catherine Hahn, Catherine Newton.
No.
Good.
I almost want to say Sidney Prescott just to piss George off because I know that's his number 1. Or I should say Gail Weathers because I bet that's his number 2. But I'm not. I'm still gonna go with Nancy Thompson from Nightmare on Elm Street. I know she was one of your honorable mentions, but I think through the 3 films that she was in, I think there was, well, obviously the first 2 where there was a lot of growth in terms of the character. And I thought with her abilities and, started out as a teenager, being smart in terms of, bringing things out of your dream into real life so you could harm them, all that good stuff. And then obviously, you okay there, Ben?
Yeah, sorry, I just wasn't listening.
That's all right. We weren't listening to most of yours. So
good.
But I think also especially I loved the 7th film, the one that was kind of then, more on a take on, the only reason she did that was just, really for Wes. And I think that was just, I thought it was a really great film. I think it's one of the better ones, and just her performance, and I think some of the visuals, and I think even though the body count may not have been as high, I still thought there was just so much fun with that film, man. There was just some creepy scenes, and I really loved it. And she was a mother in that, and so I just think there was a different quality as to when she was just Nancy Thompson. So yeah, I would have to have her as my number 2.
I like that. I agree. I think she's a fantastic character. And also the day we're filming this is actually 6 years to the day that Wes unfortunately passed away. So this is, shout out to him today because he brought some fabulous, amazing, changed the game. But yeah, I agree. I think Nancy she's great. And I really enjoyed her. I obviously enjoyed it in the first one, but I also really enjoyed New Nightmare. I thought it was a really cool take, and it was very Wes, and I'm glad that she did it, and it was fantastic. So yeah, I can't.
It was very meta. It was so.
Yeah, it was very. Yeah, it was. So yeah, I can't say anything other than that. So I agree.
Yeah, New Nightmare is my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and my second favorite is the third, and my third favorite is the first, because I think Nancy Thompson is truly she's the glue for me that makes these movies good. It's kind of like Hannibal Lecter and Clarice. I think if you just have Hannibal Lecter, it's not going to turn out as well. I think you need the Nancy Thompson to the Freddy Krueger, because when Freddy Krueger is in the other movies, I find him just completely unwatchable, except for maybe the second one. I think 4, 5, 6, Jesus Christ.
One. Oh, well, yeah, Freddy's Dead was rough, but the second one, that was very
interesting movie.
Yeah, it was very homoerotic.
In the words of Casey Becker, the first one was, but the rest sucked.
Some of them sucked. Like a majority of them sucked. I don't like Freddy.
Yeah, it's not like Friday the 13th bad. Don't worry, it's not like that.
No, it's not.
That's true.
But the ones that are bad are truly terrible. But Nancy Thompson doesn't have to worry about that because she's in all the good ones, so it doesn't matter.
Is it number 2 for me?
Mm-hmm.
It is, which is, we're all very excited to hear the originality, George.
I'd like to know if I was right. Yeah, let's hear it.
You're not right, and I probably got somebody's number 1, and that's Ellen Ripley from Alien. Okay,
she's not on my list.
What? I thought you like fucking.
I told you I wanted to choose people that weren't really going to be on their top 5. So
okay, well, I'm going with Ellen Ripley. Of course, Sigourney Weaver from the Alien films. Mentioned her briefly before when we were talking about Alice. She was the original badass in. Obviously, it's more sci-fi, but sci-fi horror. I would count the first one as more of a horror film, and then the rest, obviously, then they got more sci-fi as they went on. obviously Sydney Scott. It's just, yeah, I just read Ridley Scott's fantastic. Anyway, yeah, so I would say her. I really loved her character, and again, I loved the progression from 1 to 3, and then obviously her big sacrifice, and then she came back. But I liked Alien Resurrection. I don't care. Okay,
it was so bad. It was so good, though.
Exactly.
Come on, it was fun.
Exactly, and Winona Ryder and all that. Anyway, so yeah, I would say my number 2 is Ellen Ripley because she's so good with a flamethrower, and she's just really cool, and I can get behind. And I believe are they working on it? I can't remember that because it keeps going in and out of production of whether there is going to be a new film with her in. I can't remember if they are working on this or
I don't believe they're doing a film. They're actually doing
the TV
FX
series.
Has a series.
Blame Ridley Scott for that. He killed that stupid bitch. Did Prometheus and Alien Covenant? What a bastard! Like what did he took that from us? Absolute cunt bag.
I will not say that about Ridley Scott.
No, I won't, because I really enjoyed Prometheus, and I actually enjoyed the story it was going to tell, and then I was pissed when the second one wasn't a Prometheus sequel and was just like some random film. They were like, I was so looking forward to finding out, like, for 9 to go to and find out who the creators were and everything. Anyway, that's another story.
Honestly,
also,
I loved
Ridley
Covenant,
Scott
though.
let Lady Gaga away with that accent, which should be criminalized.
Well,
Jesus.
you can sit here. Originally, I was going to complain about that, and we'll take this little tangent. But I did actually watch an interview, and no, the accent is almost spot on.
It is the same.
Yeah, I thought I've never heard. Yeah, I never heard.
Why does it sound
just
so bad coming out from out? Like there's just
that is literally how she.
That's because Jack has taken you and messed your brain up over on Geeky.
Nah, I mean it was pretty fucking funny.
No, okay, if you watch an interview with the actual person, I can't
read the source material.
Yeah, it's the accent's actually spot on.
Anyway.
So you can be as mad as you want, but Ridley Scott.
I'm not mad. It's just my ears fucking hurt. Like it's not my problem. Like it's not my fault.
Well, now you know how we feel after an hour with you on the podcast. So anyway, we'll not hear Lady Gaga's slander.
Hell House, you fucking.
You were wanking off that as well the other day, so don't be coming to me making out like I'm
it's grand, but second favorite movie of like all time when it comes to horror. Like I'm not, get a life, bro.
Your favorite horror films, like fucking basically a TV detective film with fucking. So don't come to me with my favorite.
Literally, none of them are detectives. They're all scientists. So, like, you got that wrong for first.
Bitch, please.
And second off, shut your stupid whore mouth. Yutaka. What do you have to say about his number 2? Which I don't even remember what it was.
I was already agreeing with it. I was actually a fan. And if George wanted to, come correct about insulting our ears, it should be about your sound quality, Ben.
It is a shame. That is a shame. Yeah, but also I don't have to listen to it. You do. So it isn't my problem.
That's more or less our audience. So that's unfortunate. But no.
For them, I feel bad. For you two, I'm happy for this to happen.
But I'm actually happy with that choice. So
okay, well, that was fun. Ben, what's your number 2?
So am I. I agree with Ripley. I think she's actually a really great character. I haven't seen the Alien movies in a while, and I should rewatch them, and I will, because she's really phenomenal. But it gives me great pleasure to say that Sidney Prescott is my number 2. Just a phenomenal final girl. In every sense of the word, she embodies strength and passion and a strong fight against her stalker, and not yet her killer, but you never know what will happen in Scream 2022, which I'm very, very excited for. And I'm going to let George talk about Sidney the rest when he talks about his number 1. But I'll just say that, obviously, Nev Campbell is on this list, and it's only because I felt that this person deserved to be my number 1, but also because, like, she really is just amazing. You can't not have her on the list because she's phenomenal, and I really hope Yutaka has her on the list because, like,
probably not. I tried to switch up the everything I had, because if I could, yes, it would have been Alien, Scream. It would have been all those characters. So I wanted to go outside the box. But I will say, if we're going to move on to number one, Ben actually already mentioned this person in his honorable mentions. And the reason I chose this person, well, one, because I thought the movie was a real good fresh take on a good old, I guess you could still call it like a slasher, but invasion home invasion, home invasion. And that would be Simon Barrett's You're Next, and Sharni Vinson as Erin, because wow, you know, you go into the film, you don't expect that she's going to be this like powerhouse of, you know, traps, and just she's visceral. I mean, what is that she, it's like a, I don't think it was a hammer, it just looked like a kitchen utensil, or was it not? Well, she kept just slamming his.
Oh, was the potato?
Yeah.
Yes. That's yes. And she was just like vicious, and she was just smashing his head in. And then also one of my favorite tenderizer,
by the way.
Thank you. One of my favorite scenes though is when she's in the basement and she's just breaking all the lights, and she sets up that. I was like, oh my god. So I chose her because I thought she's like a grown-up female version of Home Alone. The way she just I thought also as the actress, I thought actually that entire cast. And also you have to give a shout out to you know, horror icon Barbara Crampton, because she's amazing.
Yes.
But yeah, I really loved this character. And also this is terrible, I didn't realize the movie took place in Missouri.
In my hometown.
Really?
Not my hometown, no. God, no. The only
I
thing
thought it was like New England or like New Hampshire or something like that. Kind of had that look to it.
Well,
I thought it was.
It
just looked like that.
Looked like the Ozarks almost. I'm serious when I think about like actual that area, but that's what it reminded me of. And maybe I'll need to look, because I thought it took place in Missouri, and maybe that's just because I'm hoping, but yeah. I mean, if you like The Exorcist, that was actually based on an event that happened here in St. Louis.
Oh,
that hospital is no longer around. It's been closed for ages, but yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, I can't disagree with that as well. I think she's really good. Obviously she wasn't on my list, but was she? She's my number one. But she I really liked her, and I thought she was a lot of fun. Yeah, and it was a kind of, you know, different take on the final girl. I thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, I would agree with that.
I was this close to Gail Weathers, because I thought she's technically still a final girl.
She is. Overlooked.
I mean, I was very close to choosing her because I thought that would have been a fun choice. But George, I think we all know yours, so you should just get it out of the way.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so my number one is, of course, Julia James from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, God.
Of course.
She should have died real quick.
Great
Justice
movie,
for Helen.
horrible final girl.
Yeah. Yes, Justice for Helen, damn it.
All the way. No, of course, yes. Mine is, I'm sorry, I'm unoriginal. It's Sydney Prescott. But that's only because she, like Ben had said, she embodies literally everything on the list of possible ticks. She's been in every single one of the franchise that's happened, albeit I know, you know, when you look at Halloween and things, they obviously ran for a longer length. Well, I mean, have they in terms of when did 1978 to before the
yes
to 2012, you know, before the other ones. But I mean, they've also been a lot more consistent than most. Not all amazing, but more consistent than most horror franchises in terms of the film
absolutely.
Quality.
Oh, of course.
So yes, it's got to be her. I love her story. I love it from the first one where you can see she is this high school student to Scream 4. You know, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how she is utilized in Scream 5. Hopefully better. I hope that the three main characters are utilized better than Scream 4. But obviously I was happy because Sydney was the most utilized out of the original cast, so I can't blame. But yeah, you know, the story is about Sidney Prescott to me. It always has been so. And that's why I'm intrigued to see where the franchise goes, because obviously I understand it needs to stay fresh. I don't want that to mean, I hope she doesn't get killed off. I don't think she will. I don't think they would do that. I think that would be what I think will be. I would be happy for her to just go off and live her life and have a little, you know, and then pop back from time to time. Like I've said this before, I want her to be like the Barbara Gordon Oracle of the series, where they call her up and they're like, what am I doing? And she's like, go left. Do you know what I mean? Like she's just
no.
Yes. She just shut up your time.
That would make her character very gimmicky and stale. Either she's going to continue to be the final girl, or they need to, you know, off her.
And no, they don't need to off. She just needs to fan. Do you know what? Then fan. She finishes. She survives and she goes off, and that's it. And she moves to fucking Missouri or something. I don't know. And she lives her life out there. You know, I wanted to meet
so
a man.
Attacked.
I wanted to meet a man or a woman. And I wanted to get another dog again, because the dog in Scream 3 was so cute. And yeah.
Ooh, yeah, he was.
Have a kid.
I mean, she had Alison Brie in Scream 4. She was kind of a dog, to be honest. Like, she was just horrible. But in the good Alison Brie way.
There goes the bookings for Alison Brie.
Alison Brie's one of, if not my favorite actress. I meant it as in, you know, that character was like evil.
Yeah,
like
true.
That is true. Her character was awful.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping for a better death, though, for her.
I mean, you could tell that there was more beneath her in a way, but we never got to see it. Yeah. Which is a shame, because I think Alison Brie would be great in that franchise if she kind of, like, she seems like the Scream type of actor. It's just a shame she was never truly used 100%. But again, that's Scream 4 for you.
Yeah.
Operating at like 80% instead of 100.
Yeah. Anyway. But yeah.
I mean, that's with all the rewrites and everything. So yeah.
And,
yeah. All those movies suffered from that, which is a shame.
Yeah, they came out at time, like the awkward times when other things are going on in the world and they had to be written. But yeah, Sidney Prescott, she's just amazing. I love her so much. She's an icon. She's a legend, and she's the moment. And I'm really looking for it. Nev in general is just fantastic. I love her in The Craft, and you know, she's done so many other great films. So obviously, Sidney will always be a legacy, and I do think that's a bad thing. I know some people are like, oh, you know, want to be known for different things. You know, like Jamie Lee Curtis has done so many other films, but I think she'll always be Laurie Strode. So, well, to me, she'll always be the mom from Freaky Friday remake with Lindsay Lohan. So yeah, Sidney Prescott, as I say, Nev Campbell, number one, always. I don't ever see it changing at any point in the future, but again, I'm biased and I watch those films at least once a week. So one of them at least once a week. So yeah. Thoughts, guys? Obviously, I know, Ben, you'd put her as your number two. So obviously, if you want to carry on your conversation, what were you going to say? I appreciate that you left her for me.
She's just amazing. I mean, there's nothing else I can really say. I watched Scream about 2 nights ago, the original film. It's still amazing, obviously. It's like you're regurgitating all of it at this point, because you just keep talking about the amazingness, but it doesn't stop being so amazing. Because Nev Campbell really does give a great performance in all of them. She's just perfect. It's perfect.
Yutaka? Obviously, I know Scream's one of your favorite films in general.
It really is. So I have no arguments here. I knew that George was going to use it, and he would be so upset. If I had known this was the order, I would have stuck and just kept with it. But no, I have no issues with that. I love that. I still have newspaper clippings of when the movie originally came out. That's how much I love it.
Let's do a show and tell episode.
So, I mean, that is, and it was, I say newspaper, maybe it's like an old TV guide, but it's still like the black and white, and it was one of the very first posters. But yeah, so no, Scream holds a special place in my heart. I mean, we all know how much I love Wes Craven.
Okay, well, Ben, give us your number one.
Yeah, get ready
before I do that,
let's get pissed off at Ben's number one pick.
Before I do that, I just have to say, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, take a shot every time I yawned during this episode, because you'll probably be pissed, because I'm very tired, because we're filming this very, very late. But it was about maybe 7
very
shots.
early filming, so I'm just saying.
What? Well,
Some of us have been editing episodes all day. It's quite tired. Anyway,
yeah,
go on.
well, we're all very, very tired. But at the same time, you could do several shots because I'm just more of a dramatic person. I yawn more, you know.
Yeah.
You got a dramatic is correct.
My number one was unfortunately already said by George. Great. Thanks very much for stealing Grace from me from Ready or Not. Samara Weaving. Really? When I just think of a performance in a movie that's so electrifying and that final shot of her, just lighting the cigarette saying in-laws is just, for me, just so iconic. And that movie is nothing, it's good without her, but I don't think it would be half the movie it is without her. And I suppose it's just a matter of preference when you get to the top five, because again, there was about 13 or 14 contenders for this list for me. I read them all out. I think there's so many great characters to choose from. I think Helen from Candyman one week could be my number one. But right now, I really just love Ready or Not. And I really, really, really love the performance of her in that film, from going from like a bride who's just overwhelmed with happiness with her new family, and just the day that she had to having to fight for her life and ultimately being in a way driven to madness. I don't think anyone would ever be able to recover from what she went through that night. And I love the laughter that she has as everything starts to go in her favor at the very, very end and the family gets what's coming to them. I love her laughter, her smile. It feels like she's finally won a victory, and I just love her. There's no other words to sort of say. She probably won't be my number one for very long, but she'll always be in the conversation for me.
Well, I can agree with that because she was my number five. So yeah, I can see. Shocked that she's your number one, but I obviously can't say anything negative because I do think she's brilliant and she was a great new addition to the Final Girl world.
Yeah, just iconic. And her costume as well. I think something that defines a Final Girl or someone in horror is if they have a really defining look. I think Sharni Vincent from You're Next, very much that's her whenever you see that sort of image with the axe. People like, Freddy Krueger's an icon because he has his get-up, and I think that Grace in this movie, the wedding dress with the shotgun, I think is already an iconic image in horror. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yutaka, your thoughts on that?
No, I really enjoyed the movie, so I don't know about number one, but I really did enjoy her character. Like I said, I have nothing really bad about that film. It was just so much fun. From like this beginning to end, it is like just a blast. I don't feel like there's a lull. It's so much fun. And I love just in the beginning that she's just like so like earnest and like, huh? What? And then by the end, she's like, no, fuck this. I like, you just see a metamorphosis through the entire film. And as much as I would love a sequel, I don't know how they would, have one with her in it, per se. But I really did. I like her character and I enjoy that movie. So yeah, I'm not mad about that. Shocked. I guess I expected him to have Clarice as his number one or somebody from Annihilation. So I don't know.
No, Lena was my honorable mention because I think Natalie Portman gave a very strong performance. But for me, the terror from that film and why I love it so much kind of comes from the atmosphere and the background and the visual effects and the cinematography and the score and the editing and the directing and literally everything about that movie, the production design, all of it is just kind of what creates that image of the movie for me. And the actors do an incredible job, in my opinion. But for me, it's everything around them that makes that movie everything it is for me.
I just don't remember any of the characters' names.
Lena Shepherd is one of them. There's the Tessa Thompson one. I don't remember her name.
Tessa Thompson one.
She had a very great death scene. Beautiful.
I think my point was made on that, but I honestly thought that's who was going to be his number one was Clarice. But
well, I'm glad to keep you on your toes always.
Well, you listed off 50 people, so I mean,
They all deserved it. They're all amazing. I mean, that's why it was so hard to sort of pick number one. It was like, again, you have like 20 of them that could be number one, like Mia from The Evil Dead, Cecilia from The Invisible Man, Allison, Halloween 2018, Erin, You're Next, Helen, Candyman, Danny from Midsommar. They all have amazing stories. It's all a matter of preference.
No, I know. I know at the Geeky Gator, you guys do like top 5, and it's really your top 20. I thought we were doing top 5, top 5.
Well, I'm an indecisive man, so you got what you got.
Well, that brings us to the final one with the final guy.
No, that's everyone.
Yeah, that's everyone. Ben,
Yeah, I was last.
Wow.
What was your number one?
Oh, Jesus. George. That's it. This podcast is shot.
Wait, no, what was your number one?
That says everything about Yutaka's number one.
What was it?
No, he was asking
No,
you.
I'm asking you, Yutaka. I don't know what yours is.
Oh, you're an ass.
No, who was it? I genuinely can't remember. Oh my God, what Alzheimer's. What's the last?
Aaron for your next.
Oh, right. Okay, that's why. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't
amazing.
choose the one you were always going to choose. Please, if you had chosen any other person from that, we'd all probably die of a heart attack because we're like, George didn't choose who?
Sometimes it's nice for people to be, to have a familiarity and people be able to, see what's coming in a horror film. You enjoy the thrill of knowing what's coming, and that's what my top one was. It was, I know what's coming, but we're still going to go, oh, that was fun, haha. It's when they do stuff that when you don't expect it, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, just watch them kill her off in Scream 5, and then all of a sudden George is like, that's it, I hate the series.
I wouldn't watch if they killed her off. I wouldn't watch Scream. If they killed her off, if they just packed her off to Arizona, I wouldn't be as bothered. But if they killed her off if they kill her off and it's not done correctly, like that shit needs to be fucking. I need harps. I need violins. I need everything.
Okay, calm down, Mary. I need to see the ghosts of Stu, of everyone that she's killed. I need to be like Harry Potter. Jesus, you're making it so horrible. No, because it could be a simple. Shouldn't say simple. I'm sorry. It could be like the opening of Scream 1. It could be some iconic death scene that just jolts you, unnerves you, and then you don't know what's coming next because that's what's so great about Scream.
I will allow it to be. I will allow her to get stabbed and her to look at say Gail or whoever who's left and say, I just didn't want anyone to die, and then say I tried, and then which is what Andrea said when she died, because that made me cry. So yeah, sorry Ben to bring that up. I know it's still fresh for you.
It's still fresh.
So
it hurts so bad. My favorite character, she's not really a final girl, but I would call her an icon because Andrea just became one of my favorite characters in history. Like male, female, movie, television show. She's just so powerful and strong, and whoever producer decided to kill her off truly should be shot or at least fired. And
they were fired, yeah. So
maybe not shot because that's
that's a bit American. That calm down.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake, George. Okay, and that is it for today. Thanks to everyone for sticking with us this long. If you have, and I really hope that you thought that our picks for our top 5 favorite final girls were interesting, and I hope that you agreed with some of them, but if you didn't, let us know. Comment if we left anyone out, i.e. Julie James, who should be left out. If you think she should have been in there, let us know down in the comments. But please stick around. Join us next week as we have a surprise interview panel. A couple of guest interviewers. We're not going to give away who that is yet, but we're very, very excited about it. So stick around for more details. We'll post them later in the week. And follow us on Instagram, Twitter, at The Horror Hour TV. And you can also find us on YouTube at just The Horror Hour, which really hope you subscribe over there. Every little helps, even if it's just a like, a view, a share, whatevs. And also you can buy some of our merch. Get that on Redbubble. Just type in The Horror Hour, where you will purchase a piece of our hearts. because we actually put some of our hearts into the fabrics of the clothing. So
Like-
we literally own some of our hearts.
Literal blood
Cool.
is in this, yeah, in the fabric.
Yeah, it's like the Satan shoes that the rapper
Oh.
sold.
Lil Nas X.
Yeah,
They're so cool.
Now you have heart T-shirts. We hope you like them very much. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.